Hello KMA Land, I'm Bob Peterson, Industrial Technology Instructor at Red Oak High School, here with this month's edition of our look at the Red Oak Industrial Technology Program. This month, we're going to be visiting with two students who are in the Advanced Manufacturing class, which, as the name implies, some advanced skills and things that are involved with that. They've, of course, have had to have the intro class before this, where they are introduced to basically 7 different areas, which are welding and foundry, sheet metal, some machining, and a little bit of computer and CNC work. So with the advanced course, then of course the skill level jumps up. The requirements for each of the areas, they're pretty much still the same areas, just the requirements are a little bit more advanced. We also, one of the things that we bump up is the technology that they use as well, which is what the two students are going to visit with us today about. So our first student is Wyatt Seberg, and he had an assignment on the CNC plas cut machine where he was to design a keychain holder originally, but Wyatt has kind of modified it for his interests, and he's going to explain a little bit about the processes that he went through in order to create his project. So Wyatt, you want to kind of go through where you started with the idea and kind of what you were looking for, and then how you went on from there?
All right, so at the beginning of the project, you have to decide to what you want to make. So you could make your name or anything like that. So you're pretty much putting a shape or something that you like and putting handles on the bottom of it, essentially. So I began with a black silhouette of a fish because I like to go fishing during the summertime. And it's kind of a hassle when you have all your fishing poles sitting in the corner getting all tangled up all the time. So I thought, well, I could make something to hold my fishing poles.
Okay, so you wanted a graphic image that you wanted to start with, so you have several of them there on the screen, and it looks like you went with kind of a basic black and white one. Why didn't you choose one of the ones that are maybe really, really intricate on there?
The reason I did that is because if I chose one that was really detailed, it'd make it harder for me to make my arcs around all the different little angles, and it'd take longer for me to cut out and make during class.
So you kind of had a time frame factor that you were working with. So good. So you have the image up there of what kind of fish is that?
It's a largemouth bass.
Okay. And so from that image, what did you proceed to do with it from there?
Okay, so I imported this picture into an app called Torchmate on the computer. And by doing that, I exported and imported it into the website. And I copy and pasted it onto there right there. And I made arcs around it, which are like little lines that the plasma cutter will follow around. And I just went around my fish, and then I deleted the fish and pulled it out of there, and then that's what it looked like at the end of that.
Okay, so Torchmate has a drafting component to it, so you're able to then take that image and go and make a tracing of it, basically, essentially is what you did, right?
Yep.
Okay, so after that tracing you did, where did you take it from there?
After I did all my tracing, I brought it over here to the actual Torchmate app, which is part of the plasma cutter. And by doing that, that's where I got the words fishing in these boxes. So these little lines right here are called bridges, so that holds the fish to my other rectangles and words and stuff. And if I don't have those, it'll just fall apart. So I typed fishing in there, and then I wanted to make it look maybe a little bit cooler, so I had the letters stay inside of it. So inside of here, there'll be little letters, and they'll be cut out around it. And then I brought these down, which then I folded up, and then I can set my fishing poles in these little slots like this.
Okay, pretty neat. So you took your graphic image that you traced, and then you added some plates to it with some text lettering and some different tabs and stuff with it. Great. So once you were able to complete that, your next step was to take it to what?
The plasma cutter. So I had to turn on the plasma cutter, hook up the water so it doesn't overheat or anything, and then I began to cut it out.
Okay. Once you cut it out, you ended up with a cutout, and you can see there's some images of ones that have already been cut out, some leftover blanks. What was your next steps once you cut it out on the plasma cutter? Did it come out as a finished product right then, or did you have to do more to it?
No, I did not. I had to see it started out as a rustier, older metal looking like this. But then I had to line up the metal on the plasma cutter, and then it cut it out, of course. I had to let it cool down, and then I take the metal apart, and I had like like a wrapper kind of a way around it that held the fish in there, and then I had to grind the rusty looking stuff on top of it off.
Okay, very nice. So what did your kind of final project end up looking like?
Here it is right here. I had to grind all the rustier metal off, so as you can see, all this is gone now, and now it's a shinier looking metal. And then I drilled holes into it so I could hang it up on my wall, and I bent these up over there, and that way I can hold my fishing poles in these slots.
Okay. Have you had a chance to actually test it and use it yet?
Yes, I have. I've already been fishing actually, but yes, it holds it up very well.
Great. Well, that's an awesome looking project you got there, Wyatt. Very nice job. Thank you for showing that to everybody. So.
Yeah, thank you.
So, okay, for our next segment, we're going to transition into the classroom and visit with Bracken Weston about his foundry project. Okay, we're here with Bracken Weston in our look at the advanced manufacturing classes. Bracken has been working in the foundry, and we've talked about how we're adding technology to some of the processes that we do in the shop, and he's going to explain a little bit what his foundry project has gone through, what steps he's gone through in order to create that. So, Bracken, what is it you're in the process of creating?
I'm in the process of creating a nameplate for myself on SolidWorks. Right now I'm going to be making a 3D mold that I'm going to be able to put and make a sand mold to be able to pour the aluminum in and make a aluminum mold.
Are there any special considerations you had to have when you were designing your mold that you had to add to it or anything like that?
Yeah, there was a criteria, like the thickness of the plate had to be a certain thickness, and there had to be draft on the letters, and that's to be able to pull it out of the mold, the sand mold, easier without messing up the sand.
Okay. So draft on the side of the letters is what?
It's kind of an angle of the letters to be able to pull it out easier.
Helps so the sand doesn't stick to it. Yeah, very good. So, all right. So you created that. You added draft to it. So you have this 3D visual image. What did you have to do with it next?
You have to take it and 3D print it.
Okay. So fortunately, we actually have 3D printed plate going on in the 3D printer now, so we're going to transition over to the 3D printer and take a look what's going on over there. Okay, so we're over here at the 3D printer. We actually, at the time of the video, actually have one running for another student, so Bracken is going to give us a little description of what's going on right here and a shot of that, and then we'll continue from there. So Bracken, what are we looking at here on the screen real quickly?
So you're looking at the mold that the cast that I made, and you want to import it to the 3D printer. So you import it to Afina and it will go to the 3D printer. And then after the 3D printer is done making it, you have access pieces on the 3D print. You take that off, and on the back there's tape you put on there. That's kind of the base for the 3D print to start. Then after that you can take it out and make a sand mold, and then after that you pour and you make a aluminum mold. That's kind of the final product after a little cleanup work, and a lot of times there's sand stuck in here, so you peel that sand out and you use a file and file off, smooth the edges, and then you can take it to the wire wheel and polish it if you would want to do that, and that's kind of the final product.
Okay, very nice. So the 3D printer, we might be able to get a shot of it running right there, actually creates the mold that we need to make the aluminum casting. So then, as he explained with the draft and everything on it, he can make the sand mold from that and then transition to pouring it and making the actual aluminum casting. So great. Have you ever done anything like that before, Bracken, or is this your kind of first experience with putting all of these types of technologies together?
Yeah, I've never really used this sort of technology before. I've casted it in Intro to Manufacturing, but I wasn't really using the computer to do that. This is definitely a new technological aspect.
Yes, very, very, very much so. Very much widely used in industry, prototyping, and things like that as well. So, so that kind of starts to wrap it up for us here at Red Oak with our visit with the advanced manufacturing students and some of the technology that we're trying to introduce to them. So We look forward to seeing you guys next month in our May session as well. And as always, if you have any questions or anything like that, I can be reached here at the school, 712-623-6610, or by email. If you go to the school's website, it can be accessed from there. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next month.